AVV Nation, all of YouTube, what's going on? It's Patrick with VectorVest, back with you guys once again. And today I wanted to start a new series with you guys, but it's going to require your help. So with this new series, I want to break down different technical indicators one at a time, talk about how they come up with them, and also how to get the most uses out of them for your own personal benefit in your portfolios. But if you want to see this series continued, you got to show your support by making sure you smash that thumbs up button. Tell all your friends and family to come and do the same. And also, if you're new here and you're not already a subscriber, make sure to click on that red subscribe button down below so that way you can stay up to date with the series as well. So without further ado, let's jump right into it here today. All right, welcome back. So to start our series off, we're going to be talking about MACD, which stands for Moving Average Convergence Divergence. It's one of my favorite indicators as of late because it's great for a lot of different styles of investing, both short-term and long-term, which we'll see here in a little bit. But before we take a look at the actual indicator and see it on the graph and talk about those different tips and tricks, let's make sure we talk about how we come up with the MACD. Well, the MACD is derived of two different lines, and one is called the MACD line, the other is the signal line. So if we scroll down here, the MACD line is based upon a 26 exponential moving average and subtracting it from the 12-period exponential moving average. And then we get the signal line, which is based upon a 9-period exponential moving average. And then the difference between the MACD line and the signal line is what indicates on a short-term basis a uptrend or downtrend, which we'll see here in a few minutes. There's also a set of moving averages you can use of an 8, 17, and 9, but that is more aggressive. We're not going to be talking about it here, but you can use that for more short-term traders. And if you do decide to use that, just know that you will have more false positives with it. All right, so before we jump into the VectorVest 7 software, just wanted to read one last part here. And MACD indicators can be interpreted in several ways, but the more common methods are crossovers, divergences, and rapid rises and falls. Today, we're going to be focusing on the first two, crossovers and divergences. So with that, let's jump right into the VectorVest 7 software and get started here today. So we'll get out of here. And once we're in the VectorVest 7 software, as you can see, I'm starting off in the Unisearch section, which is our scanning capabilities. Now, the VectorVest Unisearch has over 300 pre-built custom searches here for you, or you can even create your own. Now, there's an add-on feature that we call the Protrader, which allows you to create custom technical searches, so that way you can find a combination or find stocks that are meeting a different combination of technical analysis all happening at the same time. But since we're focusing on MACD, VectorVest makes it easy, and we're going to be focusing on the MACD crossover long search here today. But as a side note, we also have the MACD crossover short search for down markets as well. So when we click on the MACD crossover long, we can see it's looking at a MACD crossover of the 12, 26, and 9, just like we talked about previously, and crossing above that signal line within the last 1 day or as of today. They also have to have a price greater than $1. Average volume of a 50-day moving average has to be greater than 100,000. They can't be penny stocks or pink sheets, and they can't be contra ETFs. And as you can see, it's automatically defaulted by our master indicator VST, standing for value, safety, and timing, bringing you the best performers right to the top of the list to help make your decision process even easier. Now, before we go ahead and run this scan and take a look at the stocks, I want to know your guys' personal insights on what technical indicators you guys prefer to use. Let me know down in the comments below what technical indicators you personally use and also why you like using those. You know, are you using more momentum indicators or looking for more overbought, oversold indicators? Let me know your thoughts down below because all of that feedback goes into creating this series to be exactly what you want it to be. So, you know, typically as an investor, you would have to go through lots of different graphs looking for stocks that are just having that MACD crossover as of right now, and that can take hours. But with a single click of my mouse on that run search button, the VectorVest software brings those stocks to us immediately. And as you can see, you're probably going to notice some familiar names here with Tesla, NXPI, Nvidia, and so on. So if we click on the graph all button at the top, you can see we've automatically got all those stocks loaded up here for us that are just having that MACD crossover as of today. Now, before we take a look at the crossovers today, let's make sure everybody's on the same page and understanding what they see here when they look at the chart. So this blue covered line right here is known as the MACD line, or the difference between the 26 and 12 EMAs. And then the white line is that signal line there. And then you see this yellow histogram, and the histogram just simply shows the difference between the MACD and the signal line to make it easier to visualize here. But it can also indicate the direction or the momentum of that change or the momentum of that trend as well. For example, we notice here, price was moving higher, MACD was positive, showing short-term momentum in favor of the upside, but then all of a sudden you notice the MACD or the histogram of the MACD starting to decline, indicating that short-term momentum was waning and to be careful. Same here for the downside. While it was pumping as the stock was continuing to decline, all of a sudden you started hitting lower highs and lower lows, showing that the MACD line was converging with that signal line, or that downward pressure was dissipating there. So, as I mentioned earlier, the great thing about MACD is it can be used for mainly two different styles of investing. More short-term aggressive trading, like swing trading, or longer-term buy and hold style of investing. And what I mean by that is for the short-term traders out there, when you see the MACD line cross over the signal line, that tells you have a short-term entry or a bullish entry to the upside. Now, if you use that as your entry, when the MACD line crosses below that signal line, that would give you a systematic sell signal, so that way you know when to take your profits off the table or when to cut your loss quickly. So we use the crosshair cursor right here at the top. We can see we had a MACD crossover for a short-term bullish uptrend starting on the 27th of May, and the price was trading at 759.63 by the end of the day. Well, it got close to potentially giving us a sell signal here, but never did. And then we continued to climb higher and then finally got that crossover to the downside here on the 11th of August, and it was trading at 859. So not a bad gain in a very short period of time. Now, as I mentioned, MACD can be used not only for just short-term trades, but also for longer-term trades. What I mean by that is when you look at the MACD and you see the MACD and signal line both cross above that neutral territory of 0, that tells you you're now starting to see a longer-term uptrend. So for a long-term buy and hold style of investor, that would be your entry to jump back into the stock if you've been out for a while. Now, you can have some whipsaws, but that's going to occur with any type of technical indicator. And also remember, technical analysis is not designed to try to predict what's going to happen next. It's designed to help you follow the trend of the stock. And here at VectorVest, we consider ourselves to be trend followers. And as the old saying goes, let the trend be your friend. So while you may not be able to know what's going to happen tomorrow or a week from now or 6 months from now, while you have the uptrend available to you currently, take advantage of it until that uptrend starts to dissipate or the MACD indicates that the trend is changing here. Now, as we talked about, MACD is not only great for directional trades or trend changes, it can also show divergences as well. And while Tesla may not be the best example, we move down the list to our next stock, AOSL, and this will be a great example of those divergences that we were talking about a second ago. So I'll use the freehand line at the top, and taking a look at AOSL over the last 6 months, we can see clearly in a downtrend where you have lower highs and lower lows, and I'll just connect these lower lows here. Well, look at what MACD was doing over that same time frame. MACD was actually steadily moving higher, indicating that that downward pressure pushing AOSL lower was dissipating and suggesting that upside potential may outweigh downside risk. But as I stated a second ago, technical analysis isn't about predicting what's going to happen next. So therefore, if you see these divergences, it's definitely something to note and keep that stock on your radar, but then set up a indication that you're comfortable with of knowing when that divergence is starting to take hold. A couple of recommendations, or either a trend line breakout or some type of candlestick pattern, and looking at volume as well on that period as well, or at the same time. And looking at volume at the same time. So for example, we had this downtrend shown here. And if we're looking for a breakout, we can use this trend line here. And as you can see, I just simply connected the lower highs. And when we broke out of that lower high pattern, identified here, let's go figure out that date. On the 8th of July, the price was trading at 34.69. Well, now it's trading at 43.25. So that's a win currently. Looking at the MACD, you had a short-term crossover on the 8th, the same day we broke out of that downtrend, and then you saw profit taking occurring right here on the 9th. So at that point, it closed even ahead of where we got in at 35.64. Not necessarily maximizing our profit, but still taking a profit nonetheless, rather than risking the stock and letting it end up turning into a loss or not knowing what to do. You know, a lot of investors have or struggle with knowing when they should get out of the stock. A lot of investors can pick some good stocks and be in a good trade for a while, but when that trade starts to sour, most people freeze, look like a deer in headlights, where you don't know what's going to happen next, or you don't know if you should take the profit or if it'll come back. You're worried about it, and there's a lot of guesswork and a lot of emotion involved with that. Well, at VectorVest, we try to help remove that emotion out of your investing, and we advocate to follow a systematic approach. So using MACD will help us stay more systematic and help you sleep better at night, not panicking or worrying or hoping what's going to happen next to your stock. So that is a great example of that bullish divergence. And that's exactly what you want to look for. Is you want to, once again, when you see those bullish divergences, you want to wait for confirmation of that divergence taking hold, which a good place to start is either by looking at a downtrend breakout or, once again, candlestick patterns and volume. But regardless of what it is, stick with this systematic approach to it. So if we move down to the next one, NXPI, we can see semiconductors. We had a great run here from a short-term perspective at 151 and then got a sell signal on it at 171. So a $20 gain in a very short period of time. And now looking at it, we can see we're turning positive once again as of today. So if we have that crossover as of today, we get follow through tomorrow, that may be a nice entry back once again for a short-term uptrend. For a longer-term investor, we also had the long-term entry shown here at 174 when you had both the MACD and signal line both turning into positive territory. But as we talked about looking at the histogram, yes, we had that crossover here. And if you notice, from here to here, as price was hitting a higher high, look at what the histogram was doing. It was actually shrinking. So that was indicating that bullish momentum was dissipating and giving you an even earlier warning sign before the crossover occurred. So if you want to be really aggressive, if you're happy with that gain when you were up 35 roughly dollars a share and you wanted to just simply take your profit, you could definitely do that. But then you get this final signal here telling you, hey, if you haven't taken your profit yet, this is the final time to do so now. And then looking at the next one, NVIDIA, another bullish divergence. You can see price was steadily moving lower, but look at what the MACD was doing. The MACD was steadily rising. Now, after you watch this, go back and look at a lot of the tech stocks, and you'll notice a very similar pattern occurring on a vast majority of them. As we all know, tech was one of the most beaten down areas in the market since the beginning of 2022. And therefore, we're seeing a lot of potential bullish divergences from them, which suggests that they all have a lot of upside. And if you've been following along with our Jockey Club or any of the trading that we do, I talk about this on a regular basis, and hopefully our subscribers and hopefully you guys out there have been able to profit off of these opportunities for you. All right, so that's going to do it for me. Once again, If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to smash that like button because the more support you guys show for this video, the more likely we'll see this series continue. Also, don't forget to let me know down in the comments below what your favorite technical indicator is and what you like about it and what indicators you guys want to see next. So until next time, take care, adios, and toodles. Yeah.